Like and subscribe on the way in the door. My people, I hope you all are having a truly fantastic day today. Normally we do the super thanks on Mondays, but I didn't get a chance to get to it yesterday. So here it is, Tuesday, and we're going to get to this, and let's get right into this. Starting off with shout out to Shifting to Success with the $20 super thanks. You know you are always greatly appreciated here. I truly cannot thank you enough for your continued support. Matter of fact, thanks for coming through the live stream the other day with MJ Fans Are the Best. We had a great time over there. And so I decided to name this video after his comment. And this comes from our LeBron James says players using their bag to go one-on-one bothers the F out of him. But so his comment, he says, thank you on common sense. The reason why I asked you about what was the reason LeBron said he went to Miami was because he didn't have help, right? Okay, so when he went back to Cleveland, he had Kyrie and Kevin Love, and he still left. He tried to get Kyrie traded for Chris Paul, which prompted Kyrie to want out. That's why you can never believe these stupid A narratives these CFL fanboys have for LeBron. Once again, I appreciate your content, homie. Keep laughing in their face. You know that's going to continue over here. That's for sure. One thing over here is the laughter will continue. Because, I mean, really, what else can you do? I mean, it really is just silly and unbelievable. But, yeah, let's quickly talk about this whole thing. So, yeah, LeBron James, the first time, said he left Cleveland because he didn't have enough help, right? And he goes to Miami, where he supposedly, well, up until recently, up until his recent podcast, where he called the rest of the players minimum guys, up until then, we all believed that he went to Miami and he had enough help. But apparently, the first year, he still didn't have enough help with him, D-Wade, and Bosh. They didn't get the correct superstars to fill out the rest of the roster. But despite that, he says, we still were able to make the finals. As if that was... Okay. Hey, everybody. we are really living in different times. It's really getting unbelievable. Hey, fanboys, let me go ahead and say this. I have no respect for any of you. Any of you people who defend LeBron James with your dying breath, I have no respect for you. I mean, I'm just replaying in my head what this guy said, you know, calling the other players minimum guys and, everybody wants to say we had a super team, but, we didn't really fill out the rest of the roster. But despite that, we were still able to make the playoffs with just me, Wade, and Bosh. Just us. Boy. Okay. Yeah, fanboys. Yeah, I have no respect for you guys because you don't respect yourself, clearly. Anyway, so he goes to Miami and, up until he recently let us know that he still didn't have enough help in Miami. We all thought he had enough help. Dwayne Wade starts to diminish. LeBron on cue goes back to Cleveland, where he happened to get in fortunate circumstances with getting Draymond kicked out, Draymond getting suspended. And, they were able to make the comeback against not the greatest team ever, because they could only be the greatest team if they had won the championship. So they were able to make a comeback on the Warriors. Kyrie and Kevin Love. And what do you know? After a couple of more years in Cleveland, LeBron James decides to leave. But here's the deal. When you ask the fanboys why he left, oh, well, Kyrie was leaving. What did you expect him to do? Well, first of all, let me tell you exactly what I would expect someone who calls himself the GOAT to do. I would expect you to stay and figure it out. I mean, you already left once and came back. But the thing they want to ignore, as Shifting to Success pointed out, but I guess the reason that they ignore it is because LeBron James himself is too much of a coward to come out and just say this right out. You know, he tried to duck and dodge the question and say everything else but what it was. Tried to get Kyrie traded for Chris Paul. Why would Kyrie want to stay in that situation? If I was Kyrie, I'd have been like, okay, yeah, it's time. I'm done with this dude. I'm done with this dude, especially after I hit a shot to save it, to help boost his legacy. Again, if LeBron James had made that block and then hit the Kyrie shot, then maybe we could have a different discussion. But again, LeBron James is not MJ. He couldn't get the strip on Karl Malone and come down without a timeout and hit the game winner. LeBron James is not built like that. But yeah, you fanboys always want to ignore the fact that your backstabbing king was trying to get rid of Kyrie while smiling in his face. Okay. Yeah, fanboys, I tell you all the time, but the more your king does this kind of stuff, I'm going to take it out on you guys. Anyway, shout out to Shifting to Success. Thank you so much for your continued support. I cannot thank you enough. And not only thank you for your continued support, but thank you for helping hold these fanboys accountable by putting the facts in the comments. All right, next up, shout out to @Michael Silberg 9059, and I hope I pronounced that right. This comes from the same video about LeBron saying that players use their bag to go one-on-one bothers the F out of him because he has no bag himself. And he comes through with the $2 super thanks, and he just simply says, pointing out straight truth with a positive attitude, respect. Respect to you. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Thank you so much for the $2 super thanks. Can't thank you enough. And next up, a familiar name, Thanos Snap Feminism. It's funny, I've read that name over and over several times, but it wasn't until the other day that I actually caught what the meaning of the name was. I was like, oh, Thanos Snap Feminism. Great name, great name. But he comes through with the $5 super thanks. And this is from my If LeBron James is bigger, stronger, and faster, shouldn't he be held to a higher standard video? And he just simply says, but I thought that dunking on Jason Terry was the same as dunking on Mount Mutombo or Patrick Ewing. Yeah. Fanboys, yeah. I mean, what else can we say? That's obviously how the fanboys view it. You know, that dunk on Jason Terry was obvious some Herculean feat by the 6'9", 260-pound guy. While Michael Jordan is leaping over 7-footers on a regular basis. Yeah, fanboys. Yeah, okay. But anyway, shout out to Thanos Snap Feminism for the $5 super thanks. Thank you so much. And next up, we have Adidas 20019 with the $2 super thanks. And coming from the same video, the bigger, stronger, faster, he should be held to a higher standard video. And he simply says, bigger, a little faster, but non-skilled. And I'm assuming that comment is regard to the league today as a whole, and not just the Michael Jordan to LeBron comparison, because LeBron James is definitely not faster than Michael Jordan. But I think maybe overall, again, because of, modern medicine and access to information, that these players on average may be a little faster. But the bigger thing, I feel like that's been debunked. I need to go look at that. But I feel like players aren't really bigger nowadays than they were in the past. So somebody drop that in the comments if you know, or if you've read some of the research on that. But I think I've seen some things lately kind of debunking that myth that the players are bigger on average. Maybe the average guard is bigger, but as far as just the league as a whole, I'm not sure if the league as a whole is overall bigger. But anyway, shout out to at Adidas 20019. Thank you so much for the $2 super thanks. Can't thank you enough. And next, shout out to at In The Groove 56 with the $10 super thanks. It's coming from the same video, the bigger, stronger, faster. He says, thanks. At Uncommon Sense, how can you hold Lebalco at a higher standard when the standard is too high for him to reach, which is why the media and his fanboys are constantly trying to diminish the way MJ achieved the GOAT status. It's like they are trying to create a solar eclipse to cover up the brightness of MJ's career. And we both know the sun is farther from the moon. Faster, stronger ships can only reach the moon and diminish if trying to reach the brightest star in the universe. Facts. Matter of fact, we say, what did he say here? He said the standard is too high for him to reach, which is why the media and his fanboys are constantly trying to diminish the way Michael Jordan achieved the GOAT status. And here's the thing about the way Michael Jordan achieved the GOAT status. And I'm speaking more in as far as the perception of the public. We all know that Michael Jordan is arguably one of the fiercest, if not the fiercest competitor in the history of the game. We all know that Michael Jordan is one of the hardest workers, arguably the hardest worker. But definitely one of the hardest workers. We all know that he was relentless, that he was fearless, that he was clutch, and all of these things. But again, here, I think this is really the difference between Michael Jordan. And I think this is why the eye test is so important. And that is because by Michael Jordan's second championship, a lot of people were viewing him as the GOAT already by his second championship. As a matter of fact, let's go back before he even ever won a championship. Most people saw him as the best basketball player they had ever seen. Now, they wouldn't call him the greatest of all time because he hadn't proved that he could win yet. But most people saw him as the greatest basketball player we have ever seen. And so why is this important? I think this is important because LeBron James' skill set has never said to anyone, I think, with common sense. But, let me not say that because, some people just see things differently. And I can be on board with that unless you're a LeBron James fanboy. But I don't think there was ever a time when just watching LeBron play basketball that you would watch him and say, that is the best player I have ever seen play the game of basketball. This is the big difference between him and MJ. This is why the eye test is so important. And this is why by MJ's second championship, people saw him as the GOAT, because people had already viewed him as the best player they have ever seen. So by the time he proved that he could win those back-to-back championships, that's all it took to convince people, okay, yeah, this guy is the greatest. And this is why the eye test, like I said, to me, the eye test never fails. You know, you want to point out all the stats and accolades and all that stuff. And, you know, all that stuff can be manipulated to a certain degree. Matter of fact, I will say stats and accolades never completely represent the truth. And the only way that I feel like they represent the truth is if you are true to the game. Again, we can go back to this Michael Jordan quote over and over again. Be true to the game will be true to you. The stats will be true to you. The accolades will be true to you. Meaning, if you're true to the game, that stats become a true representation of what you have earned and done. But if you're not true to the game, if you are cheating the game, the stats are a representation of you cheating. If you form super teams to win, again, then that's what your accolades represent. They represent things attained in a way that is questionable, and therefore your legacy can be questioned. But yeah, so again, that's why I say the eye test is so important, because your eyes don't lie to you. There has never been a point that anybody has just watched LeBron James play and like, this guy is the definitive best guy we've ever seen on a basketball court. It hadn't happened. But anyway, shout out to In the Groove at In the Groove 56 with the $10 super thanks. You are always greatly appreciated for your support for the channel. Thank you so much. And up next, shout out to at Vernon Lee Warren 280 with the $5 super thanks. This is coming from the Bronny James declares for the NBA draft video. He says, thanks. Hey, my brother, I just wanted to let you know that I watch all of your content, and one of the biggest reasons is that you are very knowledgeable, articulate, and you do not use profanity. That's real big for me because I hate hearing a bunch of profanity. You keep it 100% clean, and I respect you for that more than you'll ever know. Here's 2 more books to add to your list. Is Dream Team by Jack McCallum and Blood on the Horns by Roland Lazenby. One last thing. When I want to watch great NBA basketball, I'm watching classic games from the 80s, 90s, and 2000s on YouTube. Keep up the awesome work. Shout out to Vernon Lee Warren 280. You are greatly appreciated. Yeah, and I'll definitely add those books to the list. You've given me quite a few things, so I appreciate that. And, I look forward to being able to do some content off those things. Matter of fact, I got to get back to the book Bird Watching and try to finish that up. But anyway, yeah, I'm glad that me not using profanity makes the channel easier to listen to. If I'm being honest, in real life, I use it, and be honest that sometimes I can probably use it quite a bit, but I generally don't in public speaking, and I don't use it on this channel just because, and generally, I feel like a lot of times you get to using profanity, it becomes a bunch of fluff words, or it becomes something to just fill the space, and, I feel like a lot of times it can take away from you getting your point across if you just think a little bit more about what you're trying to articulate, so that you can really get the point across. So yeah, that's generally why I don't use profanity on this channel. But thank you so much for the continued support. And yeah, I agree. Whenever I want to enjoy basketball, I'm going to be watching games from the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, like you said. Now, being honest, I still try to watch basketball, even though it is really hard to watch. But just from the simple fact that I love basketball, I find myself trying to give it another chance, without getting discouraged. But as we all know, just like the live we did the other day, being done with the modern era, and It was probably about a month ago. I had decided I'm done watching basketball for the rest of the season. And then, I looked at a couple of Anthony Edwards highlights, and then I said, okay, let me check this guy out a little bit. And then watching him is kind of actually giving me a reason to watch, at least when he's playing. Like I said, I like Anthony Edwards' game, and I like his attitude so far. I hope he maintains that and doesn't get corrupted by the league, which, there's so many players I feel like that's come into the league that I've had that hope for, including Giannis. Again, like I said, I don't really enjoy watching Giannis anymore because I feel like the league has somewhat rubbed off on him. But anyway, I'm going on too long with that. But shout out to Vernon Lee Warren 280. Thank you so much for your continued support of the channel, and thank you so much for the $5 super thanks. And last but not least, we have at Wizman Ballin 8498 with the $5 super thanks. This is coming from the video I did yesterday, the no flu game for LeBron James. Fanboys, you're not gonna get a flu game from your king. I mean, just another way proving how he is nothing like Michael Jordan. But anyway, he says, I have another angle, you see. Jordan came into the league when the teams were stacked with Hall of Fame talent, at least the NBA Finals teams. But when the expansion happened, it was a chance for individual stars to prove their worth. Jordan was the only player in history to dominate the landscape of the league in that way. So what it says is LeBron is nowhere close to Michael Jordan because he went the opposite direction and stacked teams like the past because he couldn't do it in that fashion. Yeah, not 100% agree. And yeah, my video yesterday, so the video was actually no flu game for LeBron and did MJ play in a watered down league. And, I did kind of two topics because I knew I wasn't going to talk about the LeBron not playing with the flu long because, at this point, does anyone expect anything different from load management king? And so, when I said, did MJ play in a watered down league? No, I don't think he did at all. I was just kind of playing devil's advocate and saying that if you were going to say any advantage was had, then to me, the only advantage that would be had would be in the regular season, would be the amount of games that a team could win in the regular season. Because like I said, by the playoffs and finals, then you're still down to the most talented stars and teams in the league. But yeah, so I totally agree with that comment. And he says, but when the expansion happened, it was a chance for individual stars to prove their worth. And that's what I 100% agree with. Because like I was saying, and I think I said this in the video, to me, theoretically, if you want to talk about the fact that more teams came into the league, well, that meant, like I said, during the 90s, it was normally one superstar that represented the team, followed up with supportive players. And whether that, that could have been an all-star teammate, could have been, or it could have just been good role players who really played their role on the team. But it really highlighted the superstar. The superstar, like you said, the superstar really had to prove their worth in that scenario because, there weren't teams like the Bill Russell Celtics, that had a bunch of Hall of Fame talent on it. Or even if you're talking about the Showtime Lakers with Magic and Kareem, So yeah, I totally agree with that. Shout out to Wizman Ballin 8498 with the $5 super thanks. Thank you so much for your continued support of the channel. Everyone who supports this channel, everyone who comments, everyone who shares the videos. Matter of fact, while I'm at it, everyone, please share these videos in every space that you can think to share the video, especially if it's a space filled with LeBron James fanboys, because, I love nothing more than to disrupt their peace of mind and delusion. But yeah, shout out to everyone who supports the channel and continues to support the channel. And not only just supports this channel, who supports all of the content creators who do this. Sports and fitness rants. MJ fans are the best. Angry Old Hoops. Phenomenal Fitness. Too Raw for Sports. Ticket TV. Dreamers Pro. Uncut Hoops. New guy that I've been checking out his video. Shout out to at Retro Heat Check. I think that's the name. Correct me if I'm wrong. At Retro Heat Check. And everyone who's coming out basically to join the war against the false narratives and the false narratives that they put out about the modern NBA. But anyway, we are going to hold up here. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about any of the things that we talked about today. Shout out to everyone who gave super thanks. Shout out to everyone who continues to support. Let me know what you think in the comments. You all have a truly, truly fantastic day. And I'll see you next time. All right.